It's the National Reining Horse Association Derby Non-Pro Championship Final from Oklahoma City.
This might be one of the toughest Derby finals I've seen in a long time.
Jesus take the wheel. That's what that felt like.
An all-star cast of horses and a herd of youth riders taking on the grown-ups.
I couldn't stop smiling going in there.
We'll have the highlights.
Coming up on Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim, we're going to talk about jellicasts or soft casts and their use in horses.
If we're working on our
Plus, in Training Secrets, NRHA professional Mike Davis talks about how to take the trouble out of a common trouble spot, the center of the ring. That's all ahead on Horse of the West.
The Western horse was a master of a hard world, pitted for centuries against half-wild bovines. Ferocious predators, brutal weather, and the sheer size of the country they had to cover. Their descendants are still nimble, fast, and courageous, with a rock-solid disposition that makes them beloved the world over. In this next half hour, you'll see them in action here on Horse of the West.
Welcome to Oklahoma City, where since 1986, the world's best reiners have been riding through the Gateway of Champions into the NRHA Arena at State Fair Park.
We have all our premier events here, between the Derby and the Futurity, and there's just always something about walking down that Gateway of Champions that no matter how many times you've shown here, you still get a little nervous.
The National Reining Horse Association Derby is one of the two NRHA major events here and has a storied history in the sport. This year seems like a particularly stacked non-pro Derby final, with seven-time champ Mandy McCutcheon and Party Knight scoring a 223.5 to lead the prelims. In reining, women and men compete equally, as do stallions, geldings, and mares. Youth have their own division, but step up to compete against the adults and have been doing so with great success. To qualify, the maximum of 3 horses is the dream of the top riders, and 3 people have done it in this year's Derby final, 2 women and a 15-year-old guy. Reiners have worked hard to develop their youth riders, and some of the veterans may wish they hadn't. 15-year-old Lane Colston qualified 3 horses to both the NRBC and the NRHA Derby this year.
I always thought it would be fun, and I never thought I'd be doing it on 3 horses.
This is an international sport, and Austria's Gina Schumacher is one of those with 3 mounts in the final. Among Gina's rides, Tulsa Open Derby champion Oh Starry Night. She agrees this is a pretty tough crowd.
For the time I see, this is the toughest one. So, yeah, I'm really proud that I made it back on all 3.
Kim Muhlstetter of Scottsdale also has 3 in the final.
There's a great group of horses, a great group of riders, and the competition, it's really stout here.
Kim will get us started with the 217 on the 4-year-old stallion, Gonna Flash My Trash by NRHA $2 million sire, Gonna Trash Ya.
I was really proud of him. He showed good. He's only 4. And he held his ground. I was really happy with him. Michael Garnett of Lincoln, Nebraska is riding Hollywood Nights by NRHA $2 million sire Gunner's Special Night out of Hall of Fame member and $1 million mare Done It for Checks. Michael's 6-year-old stallion has earned more than $75,000 in open and non-pro competition, and here in Oklahoma City they earn a 217.5.
I'm not saying he's a 75, 76 horse, but he's a really, really good horse. He's even-tempered. He's never been bad. I mean, this horse has never said no. He's never said, I don't want to do this.
Gina Schumacher's first horse is also sired by Gunner's Special Night. This is Tulsa Reining Classic Open champion Oh Starry Night.
She's very special. She's not very easy, but she has a big heart and she tries really hard. For me, it's my favorite horse.
The judges also appreciate the talents of Oh Starry Night and award her a 219.5. Now here's David McGee of King, North Carolina. He's been riding this 6-year-old stallion since his Futurity year. Naughty by nature is the son of Hall of Fame stallion Magnum Chick Dream out of Hall of Fame mare Princess and Diamonds. The pair earn a big 221.5 to take the lead, despite David being too busy to ride much lately.
Our youngest son was graduating from high school, and he had a lot of things, dinners, and then actually before we came here, we went and played golf for a week, and my horse sat in the barn. So what's that tell you? Maybe I shouldn't ride him as much.
14-year-old Luca Fapani of Scottsdale has 2 horses qualified, and the first is Spooks and Jewels by NRHA Hall of Fame member and $5 million sire Smart Spook. Luca is the son of NRHA $5 million rider Andrea Fapani and NRHA Futurity and Derby non-pro champion Tish Fapani. so he knows this building and this event inside and out.
The Derby's been huge for so long in the reining industry, and such a cool show, prestigious, all of that. And I've been here every year since I was a kid pretty much with my dad showing, but I never picked up showing horses till I was like 12. So I showed for the first time last year, and then just didn't turn out. I did 5 spins in the go-round so on this horse, so I just knew I had to come back here and get redemption for him, and sure enough, he was good.
Sure enough, 223 is the score for Luca Fapani and Spooks and Jewels, and they are sitting in first now. But there are still plenty of big-time horses and riders yet to go, including Jack Meadows on NRHA Futurity Open Reserve Champion Isn't She Perfect?
She is absolutely perfect.
And Samantha Smith on NRHA Futurity Non-Pro Co-Reserve Champion Never Thought I Would.
And then I have a Futurity horse that's actually his full brother. Good year. And his name is I Would Never Say Never.
We'll be back with more from the NRHA Derby in Oklahoma City coming up.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau. Your Horse Inside and Out with Dr. Joe Carter, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim.
Gelicasts or soft casts are a human bandaging material that I really like to use and we frequently use in treating a horse's leg. You can see this is just a roll gauze that's got medication in it that'll help pull inflammation, and it'll calm and settle a horse's leg down. We like to use them anytime a horse has like a minor tendon injury or a minor suspensory injury or a split bone injury, just to try and give them some stabilization and also cool the leg out. What it ends up doing is it supports the leg and not allow it to flex too much, but the horses can still travel and be ridden properly. And so what we do is we start by going from front to back and wrapping the horse's leg. We wrap down around the pastern and fetlock and just roll this cast material on there, this soft cast material. You don't want to pull it tight, you just want to gently roll it on. This is something that you can do at home or you can consult with your veterinarian. We have a lot of trainers that put these on when they're worried about a horse's tendon until the vet can get there. Okay, make sure it's all on there nice and smooth. One of the things you want to avoid is getting dirt down in there or sand. We do that by taking some Elasticon and put a little band of Elasticon around the top of that Gelicast to try and keep any dirt from getting in there. Just a little strip like that. Some scissors. Then to keep it clean, we'll put a cotton and a vet wrap on there. This is going to keep the gel cast clean and make it last for several days. I'll leave these on for several days at a time. You can spa horses in them, just pull the cotton and the vet wrap out. You can put your polos over them and you can ride them in these without having any trouble, as long as you're keeping the dirt out of there. So Gelicast can be a really effective way of managing minor inflammation in a horse's leg. Anytime you got some swelling or some injury that you're concerned about, contact your local veterinarian, and I'm Dr. Joe Carter with Your Horse Inside and Out.
Your Horse Inside and Out is sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim. Before making any decisions about your horse's health, be sure to contact your veterinarian. You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back to Horse of the West and the legendary Norwick Arena at State Fair Park in Oklahoma City. Luca Fapani is leading the NRHA Derby Non-Pro Championship final on Spooks and Jewels with a 223. In second, David McGee and Naughty by Nature with a 221.5, and in third, Gina Schumacher on O Starry Night with a 219.5. In the NRHA, non-professional riders can't get paid to train horses, but they do earn prize money. And 15-year-old Lane Colston of Frankfort, Kentucky has already raked in more than $100,000. All three of the horses he's qualified for this non-pro Derby final are by Gunner's Special Night, and the first is the 5-year-old gelding Me and Julio. They mark a 2:18.5.
I wish when I ran in, I would have started a little faster, and then when I turned my first corner, I would have gone a little faster, but he was pretty good overall.
Gina Schumacher cruises back into the Coliseum on her second horse, a 5-year-old stallion named All Right Magnum by Magnum Chick Dream, and tops her previous score by half a point. She moves past herself into third place. Sean Pulley of Aubrey, Texas spends most of his time on the business end of the sport, but he has qualified his 5-year-old mare Spook in Sparks by Smart Spook out of the performer and producer Setting Off Sparks, and they earn a 2:17.
The beginning.
Yeah, sure was. From day one when she's a baby, yeah, she could always tell it a lot like mama and a lot like daddy. And she's just been, has a lot of want to, and just really one of those that wants to be a show horse, and really happy with her.
Even though Kelly Smith of Marietta, Oklahoma is a former NRHA Derby non-pro champion, she generally prefers to ride 3-year-old futurity horses. She says she's trying to expand her horizons more into the Derbies. She does pretty well here. Her 4-year-old mare named WF She's Got a Whiz by Spook's Got a Whiz earns a 2:17.5.
It went probably well considering the horse. I haven't had her very long. She's kind of green. The only disappointment I had was the first stop. I really thought I was prepared, and I really thought I could do that maneuver big. It's kind of a distraction, but then everything else, I mean, she did exactly what I wanted her to do.
Here's another 4-year-old mare competing with the boys. Isn't She Perfect by NRHA $2 million sire Walla Walla Whiz. She became a star here in the Norwick Arena last December when she earned the NRHA Futurity Open Reserve Championship under professional Cole Price. The owner, Amy Meadows, and her son Jack made the difficult decision to have Jack take her over this year to show in the non-pro. At the National Reining Breeders' Classic earlier in the season, Jack felt the pressure of that decision.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of pressure, especially the first time I showed her. I felt it a little bit. You know, I mean, she had just been second at the Futurity and marked a 25.5, and I mean, I went in there and messed some things up. So, I mean, it's very humbling, this sport.
But Jack and Isn't She Perfect make some adjustments, and here in Oklahoma City they laid down a pretty pattern. The score to beat is the 2:23 of Luca Fapani and Spooks and Jewels. The word from the judges, a 2:22.5 for Jack Meadows and Isn't She Perfect. So they slide into second.
You know, she's got all the parts, and you know, she's little in size but has a big heart. So I mean, that speaks most of her.
We're not done. When we come back, Luca Fapani has his final mount, along with Gina Schumacher, Kim Muhlstetter, and Lane Colston. We'll be back with more. Don't ride off.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back to State Fair Park in Oklahoma City and Horse of the West. 14-year-old Luca Fapani is leading the NRHA Derby Non-Pro Futurity Championship Final on Spooks and Jewels with a score of 2:23. Rainer Samantha Smith of Edmond, Oklahoma was NRHA Futurity Reserve co-champion last year on this 4-year-old mare named Never Thought I Would by NRHA $1 million sire Paleface Dunnett. They mark a 2:18.5 here at the Derby, and Samantha says she's pretty happy because they've been going through some 4-year-old stuff.
You know, he's almost ready to trust, but not quite ready to trust, and I'm almost not ready to trust him, so you know how it goes.
It's also a 2:18.5 for Lane Colston on his third horse, Bailey's Not Painted.
What's the secret to getting 3 horses back to the finals at both the NRBC and the Derby?
Well, I try to be consistent with all 3 of them, but they're all 3 really good horses too, and all the people that help me with them are really good too.
Kim Muhlstetter earns a 2:19 on her final horse, Spook's Grand Slam by NRHA $1 million sire Spook's Got a Whiz.
I was just super excited to have all 3 of mine show good enough to get back in the finals. I mean, there was over, I think, 200 that showed, and just to have all 3 make the top 30, I was really proud of them.
Now here's 15-year-old Jennifer Newdorf of Alberta, Canada, riding the 6-year-old stallion Shining in Town by NRHA $1 million sire Hollywood's Tinseltown. Jennifer was a barrel racer who started reining a couple of years ago. She and Shining in Town marked a 2:17.5 earlier this year at the National Reining Breeders' Classic and a 2:19 in the prelim here in Oklahoma City. But they'll need a 2:23.5 or better to take the lead in this final from Luca Fapani. Guess what? The judges award them a 226.5, which will fire them into first.
The NRBC, we kind of had tough luck with our run-in, but I just went in and trusted him and just put my hand down. Yeah.
I get the feeling watching you ride that you just love showing. I mean, just the showing itself out there. You don't get nervous? Does it fire you up?
No, I don't get nervous at all. I get really excited about it, and it's always fun.
But Jennifer doesn't just run in there and start showing.
Yeah, well, like before I show, I always go in my notes and I write down every maneuver and what I'm supposed to do. So it just helps me think about it better when I'm in the show pen. Helps a lot.
Did it go according to your plan?
Yes, it did.
Luca Fapani has one last mount, Sharp Dressed Spook by Spook's Got a Whiz. This was a horse that really made Luca work, but it all came together for them in Katy, Texas, where they were NRBC reserve champs. They need a huge score here in Oklahoma City, though, a 226.5 or better for Luca to retake the lead. The word from the judges, a 223, which will tie his previous score on Spooks and Jewels and mean Luca's two horses share the reserve championship.
I just had a little trouble. I didn't get him turned quite like I wanted, but he was good for me. The circles, he was really good. He's a fun horse to show, and he's only 5. This is my 4th show with him, so I think we have a lot to improve on for next year's NRBC and Derby, and I'm excited to come back.
Our NRHA Derby non-pro champions are Jennifer Neudorf and Shining in Town. Incidentally, Jennifer wins levels 1 through 4 and youth.
It feels unbelievable. It doesn't feel like it's true. I still can't believe it.
Coming up, NRHA professional Mike Davis talks about taking the trouble out of the middle of the show pen. That's just ahead.
You're watching Horse of the West on RFD TV, presented by the Oklahoma City Convention and Visitors Bureau.
So today I want to talk a little bit about stuff that happens in the show pen, and most of us trainers and any showman, after they've been showed a few times, the horse has a tendency to get nervous in the middle of the pen, and they move around or get tense. And today I was going to show you what I would do to help alleviate that. So to start, probably I would put him in 2 or 3 paid warm-ups and work on this too, but you can do a lot of this at home and prior to you showing. So the first thing I do is making sure they give their face. Put my legs on them, squeeze on them, and that they just stay nice and quiet. If they aren't, which we see in the show pen a lot of times with a nervous horse, people get to pull on them, and then this makes it worse. They usually just get more tense as it goes. So at that point, don't do that, or I don't recommend doing that. Just make them move their feet. Make them move their feet. Walk a circle and put your feet on them. Put your legs on them and make them give to the bridle. Give your hand real quiet. And then pick a spot, like right here. Say, whoa. Just say, whoa, pick their feet, hold them. And at first they'll move around and they'll get all kind of wiggy on you. That's okay. Just push them forward. Make them move their feet. And what a lot of times this happens also when we start them out of a standstill turning a lot. They'll get nervous because we start kicking on them or pulling on their face, and they just get to anticipating. So the biggest thing is they want to do something. They know they're supposed to do something, so that's fine. Let them do something. Let them move their feet. Okay. So, we've done this, and I do it at a trot. We'll do some at a trot here in a little bit too. But so now let's say that we're in the show pen or a paid warm-up, more like a paid warm-up. The horse is going to get tense. The longer I sit here, the worse he gets. He gets more nervous and more fidgety. All I do is I just make him turn. I don't kick him. I don't touch him. I just try to make him do this. Ooh. And he'll stand for a split second, but he won't stand there very long. And that's fine. If he wants to keep moving around, just let him move. And hopefully you can do this in a paid warm-up. Like, don't put any pressure on him, just let him move his feet, because that's what he really is wanting to do. He knows he's going to do something. He just doesn't know if he's loping off or spinning or changing leads. So let him move his feet, and then you might have to do this 10 times, you know, and take him back out and go do it again. Go get another paid warm-up and do it again. Make him move his feet. Just easy. Just let him move his feet. Okay? And at home, you can set it up a lot like this too. Now you can do all your prep work, you know, your circles, whatever you do to prep your turnaround, and then you stop, and that horse knows he's going to turn around. Just pick up, walk him straight forward. Till he gives to the bridle. Just keep setting it up different ways, and don't put any real hard pressure on him. If you stay consistent and they know how to wait on your hands and your legs and your body position, pretty soon they're like, all right, they're going to tell me what to do here in a second, you know, and we'll be fine. You know.
You can find the full episode of Training Secrets with Mike Davis on YouTube at Horse of the West. And watch in the weeks ahead for coverage of the Low Roller Reining Classic from Nampa, the Rein Cow Horse from the National High School Finals Rodeo, and for the first time, Horse of the West is headed to Minnesota for the North Central Reining Horse Association Futurity. Be sure to tune in. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. We'll see you then.